Hi, Steve Stine here from Lessonface, and this month what we're going to be doing is discussing chord progressions. I want to simplify this whole thing for you, so once we get to our music theory, again, you're going to go, wow, I never really thought about things that way. So the first thing I want to do today is I want to talk about understanding what we refer to as 1-4-5 chord progressions, and then adding in the sixth, and then adding in the 2 and the 3. Last month what we did was we talked about how we could take a pentatonic and expand it into diatonic by simply adding in 2 more notes. So what we understand really is that diatonic scales are built off 7 tones, okay? Now of those 7 tones or 7 different pitches, there's really 6 functional chords that we use on a daily basis in a lot of the music that we play. So I want to explain to you a nice, easy way of thinking about that, and of course we'll add some charts along with this too to help you. So the first thing is thinking about keys. One of the most common keys we play in for rock and country and ballads and all kinds of things like that, probably not so much metal though, would be the key of G. And so what I'm going to do here is let's just look at G, C, and D. Okay, 3 of the most common chords used in music. We call that a 1-4-5 because if we were in the key of G, you'd have G, A, B, C, D. G, C, D. Now again, we're not going to get real deep into theory yet. That's going to come real soon here, but I want to show you how to do something so you can start applying it right away. So what I want you to memorize is G, C, and D, and get comfortable with how they sound together. I mean, from Van Halen to Van Morrison, I mean, everything in between uses these 1-4-5 chord progressions. So that way, you're not in the dark when you're trying to play something and you're with other people and all of a sudden, you've got a situation where you're going to be jamming over something you don't know, or somebody calls you up on stage and you're going to jam to something. You're not completely clueless as to what you're going to be doing. You could utilize this 1-4-5 idea, G, C, D, and you're already thinking, well, if we're in the key of G, I'm probably going to see C and D. So let's just roll through the basic ones for this month. A, D, and E. Okay, the key of A is very common for us. C, F, and G. Another very common one for us. D, G, and A. Okay, yet another common one for us. E, A, and B. And a B you'd have to play as a bar chord on the 5th string, which we've already talked about. E, A, B. Okay. And then G, C, and D, which is the ones that we've already done. So that's the 1-4-5, and that's the first thing I want you to do is study those chords and how they work together, the 1, the 4, and the 5, and then start seeing that in realistic situations in the stuff that you play. Can you find an AC/DC song that uses a 1-4-5? And the answer is, of course you can. Led Zeppelin, I mean, there's all kinds of places that you could go to find 1-4-5s. Just start being aware of it. Okay, the next chord that we're going to add into this sequence is the 6th chord, and then we're going to add in the 2 and the 3. But before I do that, I want you to understand this simplistic idea. Whenever we're in a major scale, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, and really music theory is all built off that major scale, 1-4-5 is always major. Always major. Okay? Even if you're in a minor key, and that gets into something a little bit weird, but minor keys are just major keys a bit screwy, and we'll talk about that further down the line. So what we're doing is we're talking about a song that starts with a major chord or emphasizes a major chord, not a minor chord. So if your song is in major, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, okay, if your song is in major, your 1 chord, your 4 chord, and your 5 chord are always major. Here's the cool part. Your 2 chord, your 3 chord, and your 6 chord are always minor. So you've got 1-4-5, which is major, and 2-3-6, which is minor. Okay. Again, at this point, we might not be exactly sure of what the chords are, and that's where our theory is going to come in. But again, for now, we're going to focus on the key of A, the key of C, D, E, and G. We're going to use those 1-4-5s. Now let's add in the 2, the 3, and most importantly, the 6. Okay, the 6th chord is a really important chord for that 1-4-5 chord progression because we use it a lot. Okay, so if I was in the key of G, I'd have G, C, D. Well, if D is my 5, E minor then would be my 6. Remember, 6th chord is always minor. So I'm just moving from D, which is 5, to E, which is 6. So G, A, B, C, D, E. And then, of course, that 6th chord is always going to be minor. So we're going to add that in on the charts as well, the 6 chords for each key. All right? Now, again, I'm going to run through this fairly quick because I want to show you how to actually use this stuff instead of just talking your ear off. So we're adding in the 6th chord. That's the next step. So we have 1-4-5, and then we get comfortable with adding the 6th. The next thing we're going to do is add in the 2 and the 3, which are both minor as well. So if we were in the key of G, we'd have G major, A minor, B minor, C and D would be the majors, and then E would be the minor. Okay, 1, 4, 5 being major, 2, 3, 6 being minor. Okay, now if you were working with a funky key like the key of F, for instance, well then you got flats and some keys have sharps, and again, that's why I want you to just stay with these basic keys for now and get comfortable with this. Now, here's what's cool about knowing something about the major scale and knowing something about your bar chords, which we've already talked about, is you can actually learn how to visualize all of this on your fretboard, not just in your open chords, but actually moving across the guitar this way with your bar chords, and it works really slick. Let me show you. So if we were in the key of G, we'd have a 1 here, a 4 here on the 5th string right underneath me, and a 5 here. 1, 4, 5. Okay, G, C, D. Now what's cool about that is if I was in the key of A, all I do is move up and play the same shape. 1, 4, 5. Okay, and what makes that really awesome is if my song was using a 1, 4, 5, but let's say I was in the key of A flat. Now I might not know all my theory to know what the 1, 4, 5 is in A flat, but it doesn't stop me. I could still play it. 1, 4, 5. So here's the cool part. If you know your bar chords, which you should at this point, wherever your 1 is on the 6th string, your 4 chord is underneath you, and your 5 chord is 2 frets higher. So you have 1, 4, 5, 1, 4, 5, 1, 4, 5, 1, 4, 5, 1, 4, 5. Doesn't matter where you're at, okay? So you could actually figure out, if you were going to be in the key of A flat, for instance, you could figure out what the 1, 4, 5 is in your head after you're already playing it. And please always remember that. The most important thing for us as musicians, at least in my opinion, is to be able to play first. Let's have some fun. Let's play with people, do what we're supposed to do, and then let's go back and figure out the whys and the hows so we can get smarter and we can get better at playing. But the first thing is just to have some fun playing. So there's our 1, 4, 5. Now I'm going to go back to the key of G and explain the 2, 3, and 6 to you. So if this is 1, and this is 4, and this is 5, my 6th chord is located 2 frets higher yet, but I'm going to make it minor. Okay, so I have 1, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so now when I look down at my guitar, I can see 1, 4, 5, 6. So if I was going to be in the key of F, I could do the same thing. 1, 4, 5, 6. Okay, it's visual and it works. That's the great thing about it, is it's functional. As long as you just move the right amount of frets each time, right? If I'm in the key of G, I'm moving from 1 to 4 right underneath me. 5 is 2 frets higher. 6 is 2 frets higher than that, but I have to make it minor. So there's my 1, 4, 5, 6. Well, simple enough. Let's add in the 2 and the 3. If I'm in the key of G, and this is my 1 chord, which is G, my 2 chord is located right 2 frets higher on the same string, on the 6th string, which is A, but I got to make it minor. Okay, so there's my minor chord. And then my 3 chord, which is also minor, is going to be 2 frets higher than that. So you see, you're just making really just a box here. You're making 1, which is major, 2, 3. So I'm going 3rd fret, 5th fret, 7th fret. And then I'm going down to the 5th string, and I'm making 3rd fret, 5th fret, 7th fret. So it's just 3, 5, 7. You see that? So I just have to remember in my head, and this is why I have to memorize this, that the 1, 4, 5 is always major, and the 2, 3, 6 is always minor. And then when we get to mode theory, we'll learn how to screw all that up and start all over again. But for now, that's how we're going to memorize it. So you could theoretically play a 1, 4, 5 and a 2, 3, 6 in any key. Let's pick a crazy key like the key of F sharp. You'd have 1, 4, 5, 6, 2 frets higher. Okay. 1, I'm going to go back to the key of F sharp here. 1, 4 is 2 frets higher, right? But I got to make it minor. 3, 2 frets higher, but I got to make it minor. So again, as I look down, I can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Pretty cool, huh? Now, let me move this to a little bit easier key so you can see this. I'm going to move all the way up to the key of C, okay? So in the key of C, again, I could apply the exact same thing. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now let's say I wanted to solo over something. So I've got a chord progression going here. I'm learning how to play something. I'm writing something, whatever it might be in the key of C. I'm using those 6 chords. Okay, and I want to solo. Well, this is where we go back to last month's thing, where I play in the key of C here. I take my pentatonic, and I expand it by adding in these notes, over the top of whatever it is I'm playing. So if I'm playing, okay, so there I was playing 1, 5, 2, 4. Those are the chords that I'm playing. Again, when I say those terms, I'm not referring to the fret numbers, I'm referring to the chords themselves in that key. So the 1 chord is C. The 5 chord is G. The 2 chord is D minor, excuse me. And your 4 chord is F. So we could take what we learned last month, that pentatonic expansion, and we could start adding some meandering over the top of a chord progression like that. You know, whatever. So you're playing this. Anything, but just having some fun using your meandering, your phrasing. So you're putting all of this together. And then, of course, what we'll be doing in the next coming months here is we're going to talk about how to realistically apply all of this chord and scale knowledge together, learning what scales are, what theory is, chordal theory and scalular theory. So by the time we're done with this year, you're going to just have all kinds of new things that you can work with and the confidence of understanding what it is that you're actually doing. So if you have any questions, make sure you get a hold of me at lessonface.com, and I'd be more than happy to help you. So have a great day.